Welcome back to Casual Buys Rugby. Today is the match preview for Wales taking on the Box. I would say I'm excited about this game, but I mean, it's always a tight affair. You never know what to predict. In this video, we'll be looking at the history between the two teams, have a little bit of a match breakdown where each team could have their advantage points. But to be fair, I don't know too many players in the Welsh team. I'll say that from the bats. I'll try my best. Of course, I'm a Box supporter, so you could say I'm biased with some of it. And then obviously at the end, we'll have our official prediction, look at some of the betting odds. Let's get into it. Starting off with the history between the two teams, and I mean, it's always a tight affair. Always a tight affair. I said it in the betting odds video. I'm not sure if it's coming out today or tomorrow. We'll decide. I'll decide about it later. But I mean, it's always tight. Looking at the last 5 games, South Africa won 4 out of the last 5. So you could say it's an easy win for South Africa. But just look at the scores. 19-16 in the semi-final. Could have gone absolutely either way. Then they played at the Millennium Stadium 2 years later in 2021. And the Box won 23-18. Also, last minute. Then it was the Autumn Nations here, not the Autumn Nations, when Wales toured South Africa. And I mean, the first game 32-19 to South Africa, but we were behind. I think it was like 18-3, and we had to make a comeback to win that game. The second game we played a totally rotated team, but I mean, it doesn't really matter what team you play against Wales or what team Wales play. It's always a tight affair. Wales won that game at the end, 13-12, and then of course the last game was probably our most convincing win, 30-14, but Wales was still for large parts of the game into it. So if you only look at the last 5 games, South Africa has won 4 out of the last 5, but going before that, I mean, it was Wales dominant. From 2016 to 2018, we played each other 4 times and Wales beat us all 4 times. Millennium Stadium, Washington DC, and then again at the Millennium Stadium. All 4 of those games, Wales won. Crazy. And even those were tight affairs. I mean, 27-13, okay. 24-22, 20-22, 20-11. I mean, always a tight game. That's why I think the betting odds is misplaced. I know I said I'll get to that in the end, but I had to throw it out there. I think the betting odds is totally misplaced. If you want to throw a couple of bucks on Wales, I don't blame you at all. But anyway, moving on, we'll get into the squads. And as I said, I don't know too many of the Welsh players, but I know they went for the big boys, like physically big boys. But I mean, it's always you have to know you're up for it physically when you go up against South Africa. I think how do I even pronounce these names? Domachowski, D, and Azarati. They'll have a tough day at the office going up against Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marx, and Frans Malherbe. I've been saying it a lot of time, probably all my life. These guys have been the props. The front 3 of South Africa just is the best in the world. Even with the guys coming from the bench, it's just solid. I don't blame any team that loses the front row battle when it comes to scrums and the physicality there. But I mean, teams can outsmart us. I don't think we have the most agile forwards, to be honest. But I mean, just purely on scrum battles, usually this is a kicking game, and that is what you want. If we want the kicking game, we got this, get the penalties, whatever. But we have to back money to actually kick the points over, to be honest. But I think we got the upper hand when it comes to the scrum battle. Moving on to the locks, I don't know too much about Carter or Rowlands, but I mean, John Klein and Ergens Snyman, the two Munster locks for South Africa. These two are the 2 guys on form. I mean, of course, Evan Etzebeth always gets that number 4 jersey if he plays. But I mean, John Klein has been absolutely brilliant in the games he's played. That game he played against Australia on his debut was insane. And he had an absolutely brilliant game against Argentina, 2 weekends ago. Ergens Snyman finally gets a start. Very well deserved. I thought they might have gone with Marvin Ori, but Ergens Snyman, way better, way more physical. Just a huge Viking presence. So in the locks, I still give us the upper hand. But I mean, you could say I'm biased. I don't know too much about the Welsh guys. And I wasn't too impressed with Wales against England. I was very impressed with them in the first game against England. But I think the second game was an absolute ball fest. I think that was probably one of the worst games that I've seen in my life. And it's not because of Wales or because of England. is because of Wales and England. It was just a shocker of a game. At least we had the Scottish and the French game that was an absolute brilliant game. But I do give credit to Wales for always keeping a game tight. And I do think they had a decent game against England in the first test. And I gave them a lot of credit for it. Moving on, we got the return of Captain South Africa, Siya Kolisi. Of course, coming back from a massive injury. I think it was the ACL injury, which usually keeps you out for a very long time. He has been out for a very long time, but it's a rushed return. So is this the Siya that we all want to see? The Siya that leads the team, not just with his mental strength, but also with his physicality, his carry work, just the way he plays the game. Is that the Siya we're going to see? I don't know. I'm very, very skeptical about it. I do love seeing him back, obviously. But I'm very nervous because these are the types of games against Wales that is so physical that he could get injured so quickly. Once again, but we got Pieter Stefan Jasper Wiese, and I've already went through the whole team. I'm just glad Jasper Wiese gets the backing to show he's still the first choice, number 8. I do love Dwayne, but I think this is the chance to back Jasper, get him on form. We know the presence he is in that Leicester Tigers team. So overall, in the forwards, we just know how it is when you play against South Africa. Usually we get the upper hand. But I'm not taking away anything from Wales because Wales is a very physical team as well. And when you play into the Welsh hands, it's a tough game. It's a very tough game at the office. Even though I said, listen, we got the upper hand in every single player. You're looking at the scores here. It doesn't show that because most times we would say we have the upper hand in the forward pack. But every game seems to be close. So you don't ever write off Wales. No matter how shitty their team is. I've always thrown the banter that they can't field the team because of all the retirements. But I mean, subconsciously, consciously, subconsciously, I do have a lot of respect for them. Jaden Hendrikse going into that number 9 jersey, going up against Hardy. I don't know who the hell Hardy is. But I mean, doesn't really matter. But this is the big one. Dan Biggar versus Manie Libbok. The man that I rate a lot, that can kick. Dan Biggar versus the man that I rate a lot, that can't kick. Well, not at the moment. Like, sometimes Manie Libbok will slot a penalty from anywhere on the field and then just, like, the next game miss shots from in front of the goalpost, like 2 weeks ago, which is absolutely insane. But I do feel the Welsh will launch up and unders. I think Hardy and Biggar has been prepping this whole week to launch up and unders onto that wings and Willie. I think that's the reason we went maybe for Moody, someone a bit taller than Arendse and Colby. Even though Arendse and Colby are both brilliant under the high ball, you still want that physical, lengthy presence on the wing to secure you that high ball, especially when you have people like Lee Williams running down on you to try and get the ball. Very surprised that Louis Rees-Hammett isn't starting. I think Louis Rees-Hammett had an absolutely brilliant 3 games in South Africa a couple of years ago, last year. I think he was one of the standout players for the Welsh. He had an absolutely brilliant game against England in that first game they played as well. Deserved a try. I know it wasn't a try and it was a knock-on, but I mean, just the effort alone, it just brings something different. It's not like he's got this crazy step or anything, but I mean, just the sheer pace that he runs at, and he runs so directly. I do rate Rees-Hammett. Most people say he's one of the most overrated players, but I mean, that just makes him underrated in my opinion, because I do rate the guy. But I think our back 3 is in for a tough day at the office. I said it about the Welsh when it comes to the scrum and the line out, but I think our guys, they've got to be on it. When it comes to that defending that high ball, I don't think we'll be attacking them under the high ball, putting up some up and unders and stuff. Because I mean, Liam Williams, or is it Liam Williams? Lee Williams, whatever. He is absolutely brilliant under the high ball with his skinny fat body. So anyway, moving on to the centers, you got Williams and Grady versus Damien Dialinde, Jesse Kriel. Of course, most of us said we want to see Andre Esterhuizen in that 12 jersey. But I mean, Damien Dialinde has been doing it for years. We have to back the guy. I still back him. I just feel Andre Esterhuizen should be there. But I mean, the difference, as always, when you talk about the box, comes in when it goes into the bench. Obviously, I do back the Boks first 15 to do it. But I mean, as I said, never write off the Welsh team. Even though I don't know any of these players, you just know they're coming out with the physicality. They're playing at home. I'm not too sure. It might be the last game before the World Cup, playing at home. And a lot of them, they've got a point to prove. And they want to make a comeback after the game and the performance of last week. So the Welsh team, it's such a weird thing to not know the guys, but still feel they're going to put up a performance against us, because every team literally wants to play their best game. Everyone wants to beat the Boks. It's just one of those things. Just think about Japan in what was it, the 2015 World Cup. Just like out of nowhere, everyone just like performs against the Boks. I don't know how that happens, but it's always against the Boks. Just think, everybody wrote off Wales when they toured against South Africa. Managed to make almost every game close. Wales could have arguably won the series when they toured here. They deserved to win the game that the Boks made the comeback 32-29. They deserved to win in Free State, which they did win 13-12, which just tells you they should have won that series. Just, I don't know how it happens. But anyway, moving into the replacements, I mean, I'm just going to skip straight through the Welsh team. I don't know any of their replacements, but you know South Africa's difference makers, they just sit on the bench. Usually it's Kitsoff, Marks and Malherbe coming from the bench. But this time it's going to be Bongi, Oaks and Vincent Koch coming from the bench. Vincent Koch literally just plays every game from the bench. I don't think he's ever missed a game in his life. And he's never started a game in his life. But I mean, from the bench, you just look at the likes of Franco Mostert, Marco van Staden, Twine Vermeulen. Those are hungry guys. Very hungry guys. Experienced guys. I do like the fact that Marco van Staden, I wish for Dion Fourie, but I mean, both similar players. I love the fact that Marco van Staden is there. I want to see Siak play his heart out for 40 minutes. Get subbed off. Say, listen, Marco van Staden, you take the rest of the second half. Bang. Siya Kolisi has some minutes under his legs. Marco van Staden to disrupt some rucks. Get Jasper Wiese off the field around about 60-65 minutes. Get the experienced Dwayne Vermeulen on the field. Take the captaincy role if you must. And then just the workhorse, Franco Mostert, as always, comes on, makes an impact. I don't like Franco starting. I always love him from the bench. One of the best bench players in the world alongside Kwagga Smith. So that is where I think we pull away a bit. Just the experience that we can bring from the bench and the impact that we can bring from the bench. And then, of course, Grant Williams, he wants to make an impact. I wanted to see him start instead of Jaden Hendrickse. But, I mean, it is what it is. After he got knocked out on his first start, literally inside 10 seconds, I think he wants to come on, make an impression, say, listen, I want that spot on the bench or even in the starting lineup in that 9 jersey. And then, of course, Damian Willems, who slots in literally anywhere on the field. So let me know what you think about the lineups. It's tough to do a full match breakdown, see where the advantage points are when you know how this game just plays out. It's a physical battle with up and unders, and most people would say it's a ball fest. So I can't really add too much about it. I really do hope we decide to run at the Welsh defense. We know the Welsh defense is good, but I mean, we don't have the facilities to decide and to launch up and unders and attack through the kicking game. If you play Jaden Hendrickse with Mani Lepoc and you got Colby and Caden Moody and Willie Leroux, we have to play the running game. Like, seriously. Anyway, moving on to the betting odds, and I'm just going to fly through it. I'd stay away from this game. I mean, for South Africa to win, you've got a 1.3 return. I might just go sneaky, throw on a couple of bucks, maybe on the Welsh team, because I think the odds are totally misplaced. 3.7 if you throw on Wales. So if you throw $100 on them, you get $370 return, which is absolutely insane to think about it, especially if you look at the history between the two teams. My official prediction is South Africa by 6 points, but I mean, throw on a +7 or +10 handicap on Wales and you can still get like a 2x on your money, which is almost a given. It just feels like a given. Anyway, let me know what you think about it. See you next time.